Hello, everyone. I'm Kamaljeet here, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant from Just Pathways Immigration and Education Consulting. And today I'm talking about documents for the family sponsorship application. But before I proceed, I really request you to subscribe to my channel and like my videos and share them. Somebody else might find them useful. You can share with your partner or spouse. If you feel that they might find it useful as well, you can reach out to me as well if you need professional help. My information is below the video. And so coming back to the documents for the sponsorship, I did introduce a little bit about family sponsorship in my last video, and my earlier videos also have some information, but today I'm specifically talking about documents. When you're doing a family sponsorship application, you can always start with the documents checklist, because it will give you a very clear picture as to what do you need to be prepared for, how do you want to gather the documents, whatever they are asking for. So the main documents for the sponsor that are required are to prove the status of the sponsor. The sponsor may be, a permanent resident of Canada. So you need to provide the permanent copy of the permanent resident card or a confirmation of permanent residence document. There could be an electronic confirmation of permanent residence as well. Or, if the person is the sponsor is a Canadian citizen, you must be able to submit either the citizenship certificate or card, both sides, because both sides of the document has some information on it. And then it could also be your passport. It can be your Canadian passport. It could be your birth certificate. So you have to look into that. And if you're an Indian, then submit a copy of your Indian status that was formerly known as Certificate of Indian Status, to show that you are registered in Canada as an Indian under the Indian Act. So if you're also a Canadian citizen, you can choose to either provide one of the two, whatever you are comfortable with. And if you are the sponsor, a Canadian citizen living outside of Canada, and are able to sponsor your spouse, you want to sponsor your spouse and dependent children to Canada. Before moving forward, I want to clarify, permanent residents who are living outside Canada cannot sponsor their spouse or dependent children by being outside. You have to be present in Canada to sponsor your partner or dependent children. So if you're the sponsor and a Canadian citizen living outside Canada, you need to provide proof that you will live in Canada with your spouse. Once the application is processed and permanent residence is granted. So this is an important letter, an explanation that you can provide to the immigration officer through your application. So you have to understand that if you, the sponsor and the person you are sponsoring have children together who may have a claim to Canadian citizenship. So you have to check. So if the child born is a Canadian citizen already, then you needn't sponsor him, because he's already a Canadian citizen. You have to apply for his document, citizenship document, the Canadian passport to validate that. So other documents are like, supposing if you were married before, or you were in a relationship before, so you have to provide information about that. The details of the person you are sponsoring, and if there was, if you were separated, divorced, you have to, or you were, and sometimes marriage is annulled. So you have to provide your final annulment certificate. If divorced, you provide a divorce certificate. And if the former, if the former spouse was deceased, then you have to provide the death certificate. So documents like that you have to provide. And so you might be able to asked to provide additional documents, regarding previous common law relationship, because you may not have unless you have a separation agreement with that partner. So if you were in a previous, common law relationship, you might be asked for additional information and documents. So now, then the sponsor also has to provide the source of income. First of all, you need to know that the sponsor should be very clear that he or she is not on government assistance. If you are on government assistance, then it is hard to sponsor, because if you are not able to provide for yourself, how will you provide for your spouse or dependent children? So, and it is not mandatory that you are working in Canada, but you should be able to provide documentation that will prove that you are able to support the person you are going to sponsor or you are sponsoring. So you have to include a detailed explanation of how you plan to support yourself and the sponsored person, or on a separate letter or a document, there will be some explanation. And it is okay to be on disability income. You can provide that information. And if you are working in Canada and you have your notice of assessment, you will have if you have been filing your taxes, you'll have your notice of assessment. Please provide that, so that you can also provide your there is a proof of income statement that is called option C. You have to call up Canada Revenue Agency, and they can mail it to your address. So now for the principal applicant, who is the sponsored spouse, what documents do you need for that part of the application? So you will need to provide your identity documents for the sponsored or the principal applicant. These can include the latest, most recently issued passport or a travel document, and show only, scan only the, I'm saying scan because at the end of the day, it is an online application, unless there is some strong reason that you cannot do the online application. And then it will take a very long time to process, I believe now, because everything has gone online. And so provide the bio pages of the scanned passport of the principal applicant. And if the principal applicant is also living in Canada, you must be able to provide the legal status of the person, a document that shows that he or she has a legal status in Canada. It could be a study permit, work permit, or whatever temporary, resident document they may have. So, status and other documents also could include birth certificates or baptismal certificates for yourself. Those documents will be helpful for the principal applicant. And there are certain documents when you go and look for documents, they have to be country specific, from the country where the sponsored person or the principal applicant is residing. So make sure that you check the correct option for that, and then you will get a detailed list that corresponds to that particular country, whatever extra documents they might need or they may not for that country. So normally documents can also, there are national ID cards in the country. There could be a family booklet as well. Many countries still have that. Or there is it's a copy that has photos and information of the family all together. And if you don't have one, then you can explain it why you don't have. If the country specific, information states that you need one, or it is normally available, then you should be able to provide, otherwise explain why you cannot provide one. So there are some civil status documents about the principal applicant. If you and as a sponsor and the principal applicant are legally married, then you will have a registered document, either through, if it was a religious wedding, even through that, very often you will find a document from the church or the temple or the religious group. They will provide you with, the government document for that. It could be also be a civil marriage. Then you have the marriage registrar providing you with a marriage certificate. And if the principal applicant was also divorced or separated, or the marriage was annulled, or was in a common law relationship before, or had a partner that was deceased. So you need to provide the documents supporting that information. And you have to remember that please check the country-specific requirements for the exact documents that you might need. And also remember that Canada does not allow, polygamy, bigamy, whatever you may call it, that is not allowed here. And the whatever marriages that are accepted, they have to be in-person marriages, unless there are, I know that in some customs and proxy marriages are permitted, but they are not accepted under the Canadian laws, and in particular for immigration purposes. So you will have to provide, if you have children together, or if there are additional children that are involved in the sponsorship, you will have to provide their information for, because they are a part of the application, and they will also be provided the immigrant visa. So you have to provide, there will be a form that is for the family information. You provide all the detailed information. You will have to provide other information in the forms about the children. And children above 22 years old cannot, they are not dependent, but they could be dependent under certain circumstances if they were, if they were unable to support themselves financially due to some health problems. You have to provide the physical or mental health condition. So you will have to provide proof in the dependency for child of 22 or older. And if the child is adopted, you will have to provide adoption papers for that. And you have to be very careful with the adoption papers. Sometimes the adoptions are not accepted. Please go through a detailed review with somebody whom you know, who can professionally guide you with this. Adoption has to be done according to the customary law and not through the courts. You must provide evidence of the adoption ceremony as well. And the police clearances and certificates are required for the principal applicant. So, the principal applicant and any family members 18 years or older who are not Canadian citizens or permanent residents must submit police certificates from the country, from wherever they're applying and they are staying, wherever they have lived more than 6 or more months in a row from the age of 18. So if the principal applicant or a family member 18 or older has lived in Canada for the last 6 months, or Canada is the country where they lived for most of their life since the age of 18, police certificates from Canada are not required. So if required, then IRCC will make a request to the Canadian police for on your behalf at that time. And so if you, as a principal applicant, has done has worked in the military or the defense services of your country or anywhere else, or even the dependent children have been a part of the military service at any time, you will have to check the country-specific requirement forms and documentation to provide special information that is to be completed along with the form, some documents they may ask for. So look into the country-specific requirements. For that, it will show up there. And there are photos that you require. One photo, because this is an online application, so definitely upload front and back of one of the photo to your application for each of the accompanying family members. So instructions, photo instructions are there for PR application on the Government of Canada website. So you will find the information there. You will also find it along with the documents list. You can click on the link over there and you can find it. Medical examination is also a part of the documentation, but the officer will request for it at a later stage. So you will need to, when they request for it, you will have to go to a panel physician who is recognized by IRCC, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. And he will, you have to book an appointment and they will tell you what all is required. And you will receive a form from IRCC at that time as well, information as to how to go about it. So the most important, these are very generic forms and information about the documents that I've shared so far. But remember, the most important section over here is the proof of, if you are married or if you're in a common law relationship, the proof of that relationship is important. The person you are sponsoring, the proof of that, whether, if you have lived together for 12 months or more, then, and you are not married, it is a common law relationship, then you have to provide good documentation to prove that it is a common law relationship. And if it is if you married, then documents about the wedding ceremonies and all that, you will have to provide all those things. So and if you're living together, currently when sometimes what happens is you're living together and you're doing the application, so you will have to provide your proof of contact and where you are residing, and if you have anything in common, you have some bank account or some things in common, like your credit card or your debit cards, bank statements, things like that you can provide. And if you are not together, like you are living in your own country of origin and or whatever is the principal applicant's country of residence, staying there, then and the sponsor has returned to Canada, then and applying for permanent residence or sponsoring the spouse from Canada, then it is likely to be an overseas application because the spouse is still residing outside Canada. So you will have to provide, again, in addition to your marriage certificates and other documents, provide proof of your, contact, like either you were sending letters to each other, maybe text messages, something on social media, if you had conversations on email. Social media can be anything, can be Messenger, WhatsApp. People have many, many ways to do it. So you can always, either take screenshots or email, transfer the information and print it out. and scan those, save it and scan it, whatever that works for you. And then you also have, if the sponsor, you as a sponsor has gone to visit the principal applicant, your spouse, your dependent children, you will have proof of the visit, as your airline tickets or whatever, boarding passes, photocopies of the pages of your passport showing entry exit stamps, showing that. So all that, there will be an explanation about these visits as well in a form that is called IMM 5532. It is all about relationship. So this is a very important form. So be careful when I know of some people who are not able to provide the information correctly on that form. Many years ago, there was somebody sponsored their partner, and the application was refused because later when they came to me, I realized that it was a total mess. The dates were not in order, and things didn't seem to add up. So be careful what and how you're providing the information there. So there's also documentation that you want to provide, that if, when you are living together, you have, like I said, you have joint ownership of certain assets, could be residential property, rental agreements, your utility bills. You will have joint bills like maybe your gas, telephone, maybe internet, things like that. So just take a look at it, your Visa credit cards, any vehicles you have. So look into that. All these things will prove that you are living together. These are in particular very important when you are filing a common law relationship application, because these are the kind of documents that will help you prove that you are in a relationship and you have been living together. You have also to prove that you have been living together for 12 months or more. So I hope this was helpful to all of you who are planning for a spousal sponsorship application. I will come up again with another video very soon, and I will follow up on the same. I will maybe repeat a little bit of this information. I will talk more about the forms for the family sponsorship application in particular, that is the spousal or dependent children application. And do like and subscribe to my channel if you like my videos, and do reach out if you need help from me, and my information is below. Thank you.